Well, good evening. I think there's a lot of interest in the hockey game this evening, and the Deputy Mayor has certainly dressed himself up for the occasion. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth. Our meeting date is Monday. No, it's Tuesday. Oh, Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. Boy, that's a deviation from pattern, isn't it? I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg, and I'll call this meeting to order. I'll ask the clerk to note our starting time for the minutes as 7 p.m. Warm welcome is extended to councillors, staff, delegations, and those who are joining us from the YouTube channel who may participate in this meeting, regardless of whether they are physically in attendance in the council chamber in Listowel or being connected through web technologies. We begin tonight's meeting with the playing of O Canada. Those in chambers as able are invited to stand. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the Municipality of North Perth YouTube channel and will be available there after this meeting as an archived video. To those viewing this meeting via the YouTube channel, a warm welcome to you. To those present in the gallery today, and it's not many this evening, by attending a public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and/or unacceptable behavior and/or comments. Thank you. At this time, as usual, I invite your decorum over the course of the coming meeting. All councillors are in their seats in the council chamber in Listowel. Let's move to item 5 on our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. Members of council have full lives with engagement in the community. Sometimes they may find themselves with a potential financial or pecuniary interest in an item at the council table. Provincial legislation mandates that councillors declare this interest and, in so doing, avoid direct involvement in the consideration or voting on the item. I invite any councillors with a perceived pecuniary interest, including those who have already so declared in writing, and I don't think I've seen any this evening, to verbally advise the chair in public session. Documentation is to be submitted, if not already done, pursuant to council procedures. Councillors may declare now or at any point in the meeting should such interest be recognized. Colleagues, do any of you wish to make a declaration at this time? Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would declare on item 8.1 the public meeting to consider the Burnett Municipal Drain realignment, the corresponding bylaw 12.5 of the Burnett Municipal Drain realignment, and then 17.1 the confirmatory bylaw. I'm a shareholder of a corporation on that drain.
Thank you, Councillor Johnston. Anyone else wishing to make a declaration at this hour? All right. As chair of this meeting, I'll manage the flow of proceedings tonight and largely in accord with our agenda and the rules of procedure. Some may be participating remotely by web conference. Should they wish to speak, they may draw the attention of the clerk to this using the conferencing technology's text chat function. If technical difficulties arise for remote participants, we will advise and try to assist. Let us now focus on the people's business. Part of this focus is achieved when those in the chamber silence and put away their phones. Regarding item 6 of our agenda, I have a resolution for our consideration to approve tonight's agenda as follows. The agenda for tonight's meeting be approved. Can I call for mover? Councillor Anstedt and Councillor Andreessen will be our seconder. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Okay. Councillor Rothwell records a manual in favor vote.
I'm also in favor.
And Councillor Johnston records a manual in favor vote, which brings us to our full cohort. We have 10 votes. All in favor, that is approved. Thank you. Let's move on to item 7 on our agenda. The so-called consent agenda. Consent items are placed on our agenda because they're believed to be non-contentious, yet they may warrant council's recognition and/or action. Grouping them expedites our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract an item or more from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, and individual action may do so. There are 25 items on our consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillors, anything to extract here or any corrections to the minutes that you'd like noted? Councillor Duncan.
I'd like to extract 7.20, please, Town of Georgina resolution.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with extractions? I'm going to propose that we talk about 7.24 this evening from the Huron-Perth Public Health Unit. And 7.2 calls for an action of council, and perhaps Councillor Blazek can weigh in on that when the appropriate timing is observed. Anyone else before we move forward with this? All right, let's start with Councillor Duncan with 7.20.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. And the Town of Georgina has a resolution here to call on the government, the provincial government, to help with salt management issues within the province. And I think we should support this letter. I think it's a province-wide issue, and each municipality needs to look at this. And the fact that they're willing to ask the province to look at some liability reforms is a big thing too as well. So I'd like to support this if we so choose.
All right, we shall consider a resolution then on that one at this point. A resolution to extend support of this council to the letter from the town of Georgina pertaining to salt management directed to the province. I would assume that we'll direct our letter to the same stakeholders that Georgina did as part of our resolution, and include our local representation, of course. Can I call for a seconder? Thanks. Deputy Mayor Kellum will be our seconder. Thank you. So moved by Councillor Duncan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kellum. Any discussion or debate on this one? Additional information? All right, seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried, whereas the e-scribe seems to be running just a shade slow tonight. All right. Thank you. I'll pick up item 7.24. Recently at the Board of Health, there was a spirited and very interesting discussion following a report from staff pertaining to issues related to non-market housing and the potential role for governments, calling on governments to involve themselves further, given the significance of the problems that have been spotted through local research on food insecurity. And the premise was that by involving itself in provision of housing supports and services and housing itself, government could sort of correct some of the income imbalance that's being seen, which is causing significant problems, as I think you can see in the data in the table in the report. So I certainly, sat at that board as a representative of the county at that board and appreciated the report and the consequence, and I draw it to our attention to determine whether this council would like to lend its support to this matter. So, colleagues, any thoughts or questions on whether you would entertain a motion to support this? Councillor Andreessen? Okay, am I allowed to move things? I didn't think so. So, thank you. We'll call you the mover. Seconded by Councillor Rothwell. Thanks. All right. Colleagues, any discussion or debate on this? All right, seeing none, you have something ready for us at the clerk's table. Thank you. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you, colleagues. Councillor Blazek, can I draw you in to talk about item 7.2, please?
Certainly. Thank you. Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee has had discussions about, I guess, the importance of getting council members on board with DEI and the objective of this committee and the things that they're hoping to achieve. And they thought that, and I believe it was a consensus, that a good way to start that would be to recommend that DEI training in some form become a part of onboarding future councils, but that also current council partake in some DEI training. Further to that, they recommended that we make a request of the province that this becomes something that the province asks of all municipalities moving forward, that DEI training be part of the onboarding process for new councils. I didn't ask that, or I wasn't about to ask that we discuss this separately, because I was actually going to later ask for a report from council about it. So I can do that now, or we can have a discussion about it first, but would you like me to ask for the report? Okay, I would like to ask for a report from staff. First of all, maybe looking into what other municipalities are doing, if there is any sort of onboarding for DEI training for onboarding new councils, and look into options that might be available to our council for DEI training for ourselves.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll consider that moved as a resolution, that we direct staff to prepare a report to that purpose. And can I call for a seconder? Councillor Andreessen, second that motion. Thank you. Discussion or debate? Councillor Northam.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Kiesenberg. I do believe that AMO does already provide some training towards current municipalities and incoming ones. I believe it's usually in November. I was just looking back at my emails to see what kind of training they did. So I think if councillors and also other Ontario municipalities are looking for training, I would probably direct them towards AMO. Thanks.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kiesenberg. And absolutely, there are resources like AMO available. I think that what this committee was actually hoping for was requesting that the province make it not optional.
Anyone else with comments, questions? All right, we have a resolution that directs staff, prepared for our vote. All right, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right. Anyone else with any consent agenda items before we, yes, Councillor Rothwell, sorry.
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. Item 7.25 for the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the strong mayor powers. There's also 5 other items which I don't think we need to outline, but I think it would be worthy for Council's discussion points around this matter as to whether we should have a report on this issue, the strong mayor powers. Clearly, some other municipalities have had concerns about that, and I don't want to judge this one way or the other. And perhaps if Council would be willing to have a conversation and request a report from staff on the matter, it may help us to understand why the province is giving these powers to you, our mayor, as well as many others throughout the province, as to whether or not that's appropriate. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rothwell. Yeah, I think it is worthy of some attention, that's for sure. I can share, as I shared with the media, it came as a complete surprise to me. I'm standing at home, looking at my phone, and there's this note saying, "Congratulations, you're a strong mayor." And it was not something I ever asked for or aspired to. This has been the experience of, singularly, of mayors across the province. There was no advance notice. There was no discussion or consultation. And frankly, it does take work. And you know, I've been working with staff over the last 2 weeks to try to figure out what it is we're going to do and what we have to do, what the new obligations are that are placed in communities that have strong mayors. And so I think it's, your comment is quite warranted, because it will allow all of us to come to an understanding of what those obligations are. Clearly, there's new documentary obligations placed on me as a strong mayor as of May 1st. And so it's going to take more of my time. And it's going to take a certain amount more of the clerk's time, that's for sure. So I think I'd be happy to see that happen. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not in favor of that. I think that having staff bring forward a report and the same sort of training that ultimately I need in this situation is very appropriate at this time. Will you move that?
I'm willing to do that, yes.
All right. So we're, essentially, council is looking for a report that provides guidance and insight into the roles and duties that are now emerging as a result of strong mayor powers being imposed on our municipality amongst many others. Second. Councillor Anstead, thank you. Yeah, Deputy Mayor Kellum.
Yes, through you, Mayor Kasenberg. I was going to bring this up in a report before, but if council wants me to speak to it now, I can, or I can wait to the report, whatever you wish.
Well, I think the first strategy is to get a report from staff. I have some serious reservations about this as policy, of course, but I don't think, based on the conversations I've had with provincial officials, that this is going away. And so, in our agenda tonight, we've seen, 5, 6 different letters saying, stop this. The province is not going to, from all indications that I've received from provincial officials. So, we can certainly lend our voice to those letters if we so wish. But I don't think it's going to change a thing, to be honest.
And yes, it's supplementary, so would you like me to speak now, or do you want me to speak in council reports? I can bring it up there because I'm allowed to, or I can speak now.
We're on the topic, might as well. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my capacity as Perth County Warden, I attended the Western Wardens Caucus WOWC meeting on Friday, April 25th in Stratford. At that meeting, the caucus discussed the province's recent announcement to authorize strong mayor powers to 169 Ontario municipalities effective May 1st, 2025. Many of those municipalities were surprised, as Mayor Todd said, as they did not request or express a need or desire for it. The province indicates the intention of the authorities to help municipalities to deliver on provincial priorities, for example, homes, transit, and other infrastructure. Concern has been raised by many elected officials and public about the impact these powers have on council's debate and shared decision-making framework. WOWC unanimously supported communicating with the province, requesting they oppose the powers and request reconsideration. Many more municipalities across the province are requesting reconsideration and ability to opt out. North Perth is one of the municipalities that has received the notice that strong mayor powers will be designated effective May 1st, 2025. Those powers will allow the North Perth Mayor to select and appoint the Chief Administrative Officer, hire certain municipal department heads, establish and reorganize departments, create committees of council, assign functions, appoint the chairs and vice chairs, propose the municipal budget, which would be subject to council amendments, and a separate mayor veto and council override the process. And there are several more. The result of this action will significantly alter the balance of governance at the local level, undermining the role of council in its decision-making and priority setting by weakening the fundamental principle of majority rule. It will also blur the lines of clear roles and responsibilities between elected officials and administration staff. What I'm seeking council support that we send a letter to the province requesting North Perth be removed from the list of municipalities designated under the strong mayor's designation. Thank you.
Okay, so let's catch up with where we are. We have a resolution that addresses directing staff. That hasn't been voted on yet, has it? No. So what we should probably do is dispatch that first and then consider another resolution as needed. All right. Colleagues, any other comments on this one? This is directing staff to provide sort of training and framework understanding to largely.
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd, and I appreciate Deputy Mayor giving his firsthand account, given the fact that he's much more educated given the Western Wardens meeting last Friday. I think it still would be helpful, at least for myself and perhaps the rest of the council, if we actually did have a staff report that goes into those specific details. I'm not opposed to sending off a letter at some point, but I'd rather have a staff report that gives us the details, and on that basis I'd be willing to support. But if council wishes to do it now, I'm willing to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else on the current resolution, which is directing staff to a report? Okay, let's have that vote. All right, that's carried. Then let's follow up with Deputy Mayor Kellum's piece then. Did you want to choose one of the letters that was already in our package as support? Or do you want to voice our own letter and structure it in our own way?
Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, I would like to send our own message.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. All right, so I think the resolution is to the effect that this council expresses its desire for the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to reverse the grant of strong mayor powers to the municipality of North Perth. I think it's probably that simple.
Yeah, I'm good.
And send a letter to the appropriate officials for that purpose.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Kellum, seconded by Councillor Johnston. All right, anyone have further contribution to make on expressing this opposition? I think the message that needs to be said is that this council has been, from my take, remarkably collaborative. You know, in 2018, I was a completely new mayor with very little personal experience with the faces at this table. And I found everyone very welcoming at that time, and it has continued to be extremely collegial. There's largely no basis for the need for this power. And certainly I want people to know I've already sent essentially the delegation message to Chris, that to CAO Snell, that the organization will not be tampered with by me. I will not exercise any of the powers that relate to human resources. You know, we're in sort of a weird zone where powers have been foisted upon us without I think, particular care or thought, particularly egregiously without consultation. And it is appropriate to say that we're not comfortable with this, and that we're prepared to let them know. I will express again my sentiment that I don't think the province is going to change this. That's my read on the attitude at this time. But we might as well have our say, right? All right. Anyone else with comments? Councillor Richardson.
And thank you. While we're discussing it, thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. I also have to agree with the warden and deputy mayor. I also think it's a little bit unfair from the province to cast this upon with such short notice. Like, if these powers are to be bestowed upon any mayor, not just our municipality, or the ones that are selected, that perhaps that would be something that would be introduced at election time, of which the candidates running for mayor at the time have a full understanding of what they're getting into and what they would ultimately win in the election that they'd be able to do, and also to have the people elect them on that and their decision-making abilities to be able to override a decision made by us 10 people. So I just think that the province rolled it out far too quickly, and I have to agree, when the provinces are doing something, you can have all the letters in opposition from AMO and it still comes through, unfortunately. But I also think it ultimately erodes democracy. When we make a decision of 10 here, that's from 10 different opinions, that if those opinions can be made by one person, what's the need for the rest of us? And that's more an overarching comment for the entire structure of that. I can see it for incredibly large municipalities, but obviously there needs to be a little bit of consultation that I think carte blanche and far too quick to be thrust upon everyone, that I'm in full support of sending that letter in opposition for us to opt out. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Richardson. Anyone else before we consider this resolution? Do you have something written that you can read back to us, Clerk Carter?
Through you, Mayor Kasenberg, what we have is that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth expresses its desires to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing to reverse the grant of strong mayor powers to the municipality of North Perth.
Right. We should circulate the letter, right? Like there should be some kind of circulation instructions in there, so that we have the targets lined up, all right? I think everyone understands what we're voting on? Okay. If we're ready, then let's have that vote. And that is unanimously carried. It does interest me, colleagues, that some of the better, more capable mayors that I know feel the same way. They're not that interested in having these powers and would rather have the province remove them than delegate them to those mayors. But Councillor Richardson, bang on. I'm not sure I signed up for this. Councillor Rothwell.
Mayor Todd, just given our last resolution there, I'm wondering if we could revisit the previous request of the staff report. I mean, if council still wants to have that report, I'm fine with that. But if there is not seen to be the need to have the report, given our conversations just now, then perhaps we can resolve to strike that previous resolution. I'm sure staff aren't looking for another report to prepare if we've already made up our mind.
So let me offer, and then we'll call on CAO Snell. Staff has been working on preparing the framework and understanding. They've had some training sessions and more to try to help understand what's coming. Because we can send this letter today, but remember, these powers begin May 1st. And they place new obligations on the corporation on May 1st. So consequence is that I would advocate that we leave that resolution to stand because it gives staff the flexibility to return a report which could be part advocacy, speaking to our resolution, but could also be part training. And I think we all kind of need that insight and instruction from staff who've been working very diligently to collect that information. Councillor Johnston.
And I agree with you, because I think if we're right, that the province won't allow us to turn down, then you're stuck with these powers, essentially. So we need to know how to not use them or how to hold them in line or what we need to do as a council. So I agree. I think the report still needs to come, assuming that they're not going to listen to us and say that they'll take it away.
Heavy are the shoulders that wear the chain. Yeah, agreed. I think we all need to understand that paradigm, that framework, because I don't see it going away immediately. All right, thank you. Is that okay then, Councillor Rothwell? You're comfortable with where we are? All right. Then let's move on from this to the general resolution for the consent agenda at this hour. As follows, a consent item 7.1 to 7.25 be received for information, and the minutes of the April 7th, 2025 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Andreessen. Thank you. Any discussion or debate further? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right, let us move on to item 8 on our agenda. This evening, we do have a call for a public meeting related to a drainage report under the Drainage Act, specifically for the proposed realignment of the Burnett Municipal Drain. Let the minutes note that Councillor Johnson has exited the chamber at this point. For the purpose of executing this public meeting, I use my discretion as head of council to announce a recess that will last the duration of the public meeting. We are recessed. All right, let's turn our attention to this drain. So we are considering a report from the engineer on the Burnett Municipal Drain realignment. This is a public meeting for that purpose and invites and welcomes assessed landowners with the opportunity to make comment. First tonight, we have remotely with us Mr. Widener from Spreet Associates to present the engineer's report, and we'll yield the floor to Mr. Widener as soon as we have him up with us and ready to go. Welcome, Mr. Widener.
Good evening, everybody. So tonight we have the Burnett Drain Realignment. This is an existing municipal drain. We do have a request under section 78.5 of the Drainage Act being a minor improvement. Minor improvement essentially means this entire project is assessed to one landowner. They're paying the entire cost and all the work is on one property, which is that landowner. So we did receive a request, in this case from Listowel Agri Pipe Inc. They own a farm on line 78. They are requesting the existing open drain be realigned to what I would call their west and north property lines. The drain will remain on their property. It'll just be closer to the property lines. That being said, this is entirely on their property. The drain does serve the village of Britain and some other upstream landowners. There's about 470 hectares upstream. But what you see tonight is a realignment. It's all on their property. We've reached out to the owner and met him on site to discuss the project, as well as one of his preferred contractors for pricing, as there is an extensive amount of work here. So the total drain we're relocating is about 1,140 meters. That's a little bit longer than the existing length that runs through this farm. We do have an estimated cost of work. Included in the report, the total cost of the whole project together is $125,000. There are some allowances given for damages on the property, but that's essentially it. We've did some of these before. More recently, this is very similar to the Silver's Corners drain, which is also a relocation. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Mr. Widener. Do we have anyone in attendance tonight who has expressed an interest in asking a question of the engineer or the report? Anyone wishing to avail themselves of that opportunity? Okay, I'm not seeing any expression of interest to that end. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments that you'd like to make with regards to this matter, or to ask questions of the engineer? Okay, I'm not seeing any expression of interest in that either. So at this point, there's no expression of interest in withdrawal. No significant concerns have been raised by members of the public or landowners assessed on that drain or by council. And so with that, we can adjourn this public meeting. All right, that gavel means as well that actually we still have to consider a resolution here, Councillor Andreessen. So yeah, let's have him stay out. So we have the resolution with regards to this matter that we should consider next. We are restored to our regular council meeting at this hour. So the resolution reads as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth accepts the Burnett Municipal Drain Realignment Report dated April 14th, 2025, prepared by Spreet Associates. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Councillor Nordum will be our seconder. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Anstedt records a manual in favor vote. And with that, we have the 9 votes intending all accounted for, and that is carried. Thank you. Now we can invite Councillor Johnston back into the room. And we are brought to item 9 on our agenda, reports from staff and departments. First, let us consider an item from the Strategic Initiatives Department under item 9.1 on our agenda. In item 9.1.1, staff bring forward continuing adjustments to our Attainable Community Improvement Plan approved last fall. Tonight, we see an implementation policy and the possible delegation of authority to a CIP implementation committee for grant and relief adjudications. Interim Manager of Strategic Initiatives, Lindsay Klein, has brought forward this report, and she's queued up for us to speak to it. Welcome, Ms. Klein.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg, through you to members of council. So as the mayor mentioned, the Attainable Housing Community Improvement Plan, or CIP, was adopted last year. Through the CIP, various grants and financial incentive programs are available to encourage the development of affordable and attainable housing in North Perth. And so the plan is still very new. It hasn't even been a full year since it was adopted. Fall of 2024 was the first intake period where we accepted applications under the CIP. So it's definitely been a learning process. And I think staff kind of took a lessons learned approach as we moved through the implementation of the plan in 2024. And so now we're at a point where we are ready to open the application intake for 2025. And so we're seeking council's approval on two things. The first being the 2025 CIP implementation policy, and then the second being some minor revisions to the actual CIP document. And so just to briefly summarize what we're proposing to revise within the CIP, so throughout the entire document, we're just looking to expand the use of the wording affordable and or attainable throughout the CIP. So previously, these words were used independently, so either affordable or attainable, whereas under the financial incentive programs, both affordable and attainable projects are eligible. So we're just looking to clarify that. We're also looking to clarify that financial incentives will not be applied retroactively to construction projects that have started prior to the approval of an application under the CIP. We are looking to provide some additional information and clarification regarding property that is sold, which has received funding under the Tax Increment Equivalency Grant, or TEAG. We're also looking to add the requirement that 2 written quotes from a certified insured arm's length contractor is included as part of the eligibility requirements for the additional dwelling unit grant program, where previously only 1 written quote was required. And then we're also adding in a requirement that certification and or other supporting documentation for sustainable or green buildings is provided as part of the application requirements if the sustainable building top-up incentives are being applied for. In terms of the 2025 CIP implementation policy, so the framework of this policy remains consistent with the council-approved policy from 2024, with some minor revisions as follows. So again, similar to the CIP, we're just clarifying the use of the term attainable and affordable. We are implementing 2 application intake periods. So just because of the timing last year, we only had 1 application intake window for applications under the CIP. This year, we're recommending 2. So the first window would be May 1st to June 30th, and the second would be September 1st to October 31st. We've added in some clarification around the type of agreement that should be executed and registered on title for approved for approved applications. And then similar to 2024, and which you will see in the staff recommendation in the report, we are recommending that the ability to approve or refuse applications for the various financial incentives are delegated to the CIP Implementation Committee, with the exception of the TEAG, which will remain with council for consideration and approval. We are also recommending that the commercial and rental housing conversion and expansion grant, as outlined in the CIP, is implemented as an additional financial incentive program for 2025. So we didn't have this program implemented in 2024, but we'd like to bring it on as an additional grant for this year. And this particular grant would assist in the small-scale conversion of existing vacant space or underutilized space into new commercial, rental housing, mixed use, and other eligible uses. And where eligibility requirements are met, up to $20 per square foot of converted or expanded floor space may be provided to a maximum of $10,000 per project, or $20,000 for projects that meet the definition of a sustainable or green building. So with the addition of this grant, 4 incentive programs will be available for 2025. And in terms of available funding, $100,000 was approved through the 2025 budget process to support the continued implementation of the CIP. So following council's approval tonight of the revisions to the CIP, as well as the 2025 CIP implementation policy, staff will launch an advertising and marketing campaign to publicly promote the CIP and the various grants and financial incentives that are available. And with that, I think I will pass it back to you, Mayor Todd, for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Colleagues, questions, first comments on the proposed action from staff here? Councillor Andreessen.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kiesenberg, and thank you, Ms. Klein, for your report. I just want to acknowledge the fact that we have expanded the CIP to 2 areas, correct? Which I think is going to be helpful for some of the rural areas that wanted to have the ability to partake in some of these opportunities. So I appreciate that. The other, just one question I do have is there seems to be misunderstanding out in our community that these kinds of opportunities are available through the CIP. Is there going to be a way of advertising, I guess in quotes, what a resident could do to benefit from the CIP? Through the mayor to Councillor Andreessen, yes, I think we kind of do need to amp up our promotion of this program, especially, you know, maybe the ADUs or the additional dwelling units that might be something a little bit easier for the average homeowner to kind of look into. So we're definitely going to work on some, we have a press release ready to go for later this week, and we'll work on some material for our website, social media, and maybe it's something we can collaborate further with the building department on, that they can promote with builders and homeowners that they communicate with as well.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I have the resolution in front of me as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the updated North Perth Attainable Housing Community Improvement Plan dated April 29th, 2025, and that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the North Perth Attainable Housing Community Improvement Plan 2025 implementation policy, and that the CIP Implementation Committee be delegated the authority to approve or refuse applications for financial incentive programs, with the exception of the Tax Increment Equivalency Grant, or TIG. Can I call for a mover on this one? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Andreessen. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks, Mayor Todd. Just through you, so in the report, we talk about affordable and attainable. And I'm just questioning why in our changes, we just call it the North Perth Attainable Housing CIP. I'm just, like, we've made changes to put both affordable and attainable, but when we changed the name, we just said attainable housing. Is that on purpose, or?
Through the mayor, that was the title that the CIP was adopted under. So for further clarity, we could look to change the name to Affordable and Attainable Housing Community Improvement Plan.
I think it may be appropriate, just because within the body of the document, we say both affordable and attainable. So when the title says it's only attainable, we had a problem when it was only affordable, and we put affordable and attainable. So I think it's appropriate to have both words in there. And if council agrees, then I think that was fine otherwise. But there's very few revisions in terms of the text itself, in quotes red, but don't be misled. There's plenty of purple in there and blue. But there's overall, it doesn't change anything in terms of the title. That's all. Thanks.
There may be bylaw implication of making that change. I'm not sure exactly how we adopted these pieces, but I think CIPs are adopted by bylaw, are they not?
Through the mayor, the CIP project areas are adopted by bylaw. That's a requirement under the legislation. I don't have an answer in terms of changing the title at this point. It would have to be something that I would bring back to council.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on this one? Discussion, debate? All right, seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Blazek records a manual in favor vote. And with that, that is carried. Thank you. All right, still with Ms. Klein, item 9.1.2, we've received some good news on an application to the Government of Canada to support study of the development of transit options for North Perth. Notably, we are not alone in realizing some of the challenges of local transit, and this grant was awarded essentially to a coalition built between us and the town of St. Mary's. The call here is to grant authority to sign the contract for this initiative, and Ms. Klein can offer brief comments on this. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, through you. Yes, very good news. So in 2024, we did submit an application under Infrastructure Canada's Rural Transit Solutions Fund to conduct a public transit needs assessment in partnership with the town of St. Mary's. So the purpose of this needs assessment is to collect and analyze data and input to support future planning of a rural transit solution within North Perth and St. Mary's. We did receive notification earlier this year that we were successful in our funding application and will be receiving $50,000 to support this project. The federal government does require a council resolution to formally support the approved project and authorize execution of the grant agreement. So that's why we're here before council. Just some further background info. We did complete a procurement process, and we've retained the services of Dillon Consulting to help with this project. They're very well versed and have extensive experience in rural transit planning, including work on Perth County's Rural Route Community Impact Survey. And we will be commencing the project very shortly with public engagement happening later in the spring. In terms of financial implications, so this project was included in the 2025 as a 2025 capital project. And the total estimated cost of the project is just over $69,000. So with $50,000 being covered by the grant from the federal government, the remaining costs of just over $19,000 will be split between North Perth and St. Mary's.
Thanks. And colleagues, I think it's really important to note that this is not about transit between North Perth and St. Mary's. This is about each community trying to understand its circumstances, and we collaborated on a project that was successfully granted here. Questions, first comments? All right, seeing none, I have a resolution as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth authorizes the mayor and the clerk to execute the grant agreement for the Rural Transit Solutions Fund. Moved by Councillor Rothwell, seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion, debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Blazek records a manual in favor vote. And that is carried. Thank you. That allows us to move along to item 10 on our agenda this evening. Colleagues, are there any reports that you wish to request of staff or of a committee? I'm not seeing any expression of interest there. Let's turn. Oh, sorry. Need better glasses, apparently. Councillor Rothwell.
Thank you, Mayor Todd. I'd like to request a report from our Public Works staff regarding the issue of our street naming signs. And this comes from our conversations regarding the new street names on a most recent plan of subdivision just west of the Baptist Church, south of Perth Line 86. And specifically was a conversation that we're having regarding street names which are taken from the registry of fallen soldiers. And at the time, there was I had a question in terms of how we identify the fact that the street names are taken from that list of fallen soldiers. Some municipalities use poppies, for example, on the street name sign. So I have had conversation with both CAO Snell and our Public Works manager regarding this issue. And instead of bring a notice of motion, I'd like to have staff prepare a report in terms of how we could implement such for new signs that would be in remembrance or in memory of a fallen soldier, and then secondly, in terms of replacement of in time of existing street signs which have reached their end of life, how we could implement the same sort of recognition, so public awareness regarding the importance of that street name sign. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think that is worthy of a resolution. Certainly, staff, any concerns about that request, CEO Snell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. No, as Councillor Rothwell suggested, we've had previous conversations with Councillor Rothwell between myself and Manager of Public Works, Matt Robb.
Okay.
So we're well on the way to having the report prepared.
Oh, good. We'd like to hear that. All right, thank you. So I'll consider that a resolution. It's giving direction to staff to bring forward a report on adjusting our practices with regards to implementing street signs where fallen soldiers or representation of soldiers is in the street sign name, something like that. And, all right, moved by Councillor Rothwell. You're good with that roughly? Just speculating here. Seconded by Councillor Duncan. Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Yes, I think we're having some interesting times with our tech tonight. All right, anyone else with a request for a report? All right, let's move to item 11. We have received 3 items of correspondence beyond those already shared in the consent agenda for council's consideration and disposition. As item 11.1, we have a request to close a portion of a parking lot to support an event being organized by the Listowel BIA to favor the Listowel 150 celebrations this summer. The resolution is as follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the request from the Listowel BIA to close a portion of the municipal parking lot at 169 Main Street East, as outlined in the request letter, from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. on Friday, August 1st, 2025, for the Listowel 150th block party. I'll find it. And that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth grants an exemption to any timing regulations found in Noise Bylaw 32-80-2001 to accommodate live music from 4 to 8 p.m. on Friday, August 1st, 2025. And further, that North Perth Public Works, Fire, OPP, and Perth County EMS be advised of the event. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Councillor Blazek will be our seconder on this one. Any discussion or debate? Seeing no hands, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Let's turn next to item 11.2. This one is closing a road to support an event organized by the North Perth Pride Group as part of Pride celebrations in June. As follows: that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the request from North Perth Pride to close the following road from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on June 14th, 2025. Maitland Avenue South from Main Street East to Clayton Street. And that North Perth Fire, Public Works, OPP, and Perth County EMS be advised of the event. Can I call for a mover on this one? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Anstett, thank you. Discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. And let's move to 11.3. This time a request for the same road to be closed, different date, by the Student Council of the Listowel District Secondary School for their Pride Month Carnival. Resolution as follows: the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the request from Listowel District Secondary School Student Council to close the following road from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday, May 30th, 2025 for the LDSS Pride Month Carnival, Maitland Avenue South from Main Street East to Clayton Street, and that North Perth Fire, Public Works, OPP, and Perth County EMS be advised of the event. Can I call for a mover on this one? Moved by Councillor Blazek, seconded by Councillor Rothwell. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. At this point, then, we turn to consideration of our bylaws as item 12 on our agenda. These have been recommended to us for action. We have grouped them. There are 5 of them tonight that have been grouped. The enabling resolution for each bylaw identifies their number and purpose. Before I read the resolution for passing these bylaws, does any councillor wish to extract one or more of them for a more fulsome consideration or an individual or recorded vote? And I think Councillor Johnston, you're stepping out at this point, or no? You want to extract? Sure, let's do that. Let's extract, so that's extracting, gee, I'm seeing, which one? Let's see here, easement, Burnett Drain. That's the first one I think that's on the resolution. Thank you. I just was looking and my resolution is complex. So stick around for that. We'll do the others first and then we'll come back to that one. So as follows, that the following bylaws are hereby passed. 41-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of a transfer payment agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Ontario as represented by the Office of the Fire Marshal. 42-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of a water main easement agreement with Conalamika Inc. 43-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of an encroachment agreement with South Listowel Developments Inc. And 44-2025 being a bylaw to authorize the signing of a parkland easement agreement with Conalamika Inc. So that's 4 items there. Councillor Johnston's good on all 4 of these, it would appear. So can I call for a mover? Councillor Duncan, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Nordham. Discussion or debate on these? Seeing none, I'm assuming you got the resolution adjusted for us. Let's have that vote. And we have 10 votes in favor. That's carried. Thank you. Now Councillor Johnston's going to exit. And the resolution is as follows, that bylaw 45-2025 be read a first and second time and be provisionally adopted. Can I call for a mover on this one? Councillor Duncan, seconded by Councillor Anstedt. Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. That brings us to bringing Councillor Johnston back if we can. You're getting your steps in tonight, Councillor Johnston. I think that's the way to look at this one. Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's move to item 13 on our agenda. As item 13.1, does any councillor wish leave to give notice of motion this evening? I'm seeing no expression of that interest, so let's turn to item 14 on our agenda. For item 14, are there any announcements that would be of benefit to our community or that reflect well on North Perth at this time? Let's go with Councillor Nordham, then Councillor Rothwell.
Thank you, Mayor Kaisenberg. Good news. The Palmerston MRI Committee, they received a $25,000 grant from the Growing Home with BASF. So they gained another $25,000, and I believe they would like to thank everyone who helped vote them to the top hospital to receive the grant. And it was a very tight race. So thank you.
Thanks for that good news, Councillor Nordham.
They're over the. Okay.
Have they hit their target?
Yep.
They've
I've just been informed by Councillor Johnston that they have reached their target of 8 million. So
that's amazing. That is amazing. Wow. All right, let's turn to Councillor Rothwell next.
Thanks very much, Mayor Kaisenberg. And I just want to commend the Middle Maitland Rejuvenation Committee for hosting the cleanup last Saturday of the Maitland River. There was quite a number of volunteers, and I was fortunate to be one of them. And there's a prize for knowing that we, just the 2 of us that were working together, fished out 4 shopping carts out of the Maitland River. No small task, and it was well done. I really want to thank all the volunteers, the Middle Maitland Rejuvenation Committee, as well as our staff that had to clean up all of the bags and all the refuse that was found as well. It certainly was in great need of some TLC, and every year I want to remind the public that they're more than welcome to join the Middle Meat and Rejuvenation Committee to beautify our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rothwell, for your service and your notification. I'm sure it was your long arms and long legs that contributed to you being designated the Fisher Outer of shopping carts. Lucky you. All right, Councillor Blazek, next, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kasenberg. Because you mentioned volunteers, I thought it would be prudent for us to remind the community that our North Perth Volunteer Appreciation Night is tomorrow evening at the EMCC, which is popularly known as the Atwood Lions Hall, where we will celebrate all of the awesome volunteers in North Perth that we are incredibly thankful for, and award a couple of outstanding volunteers, including the Norm Sterling Citizen of the Year. So if we're able, let's go out to that.
Thank you, Councillor Blazek, and appreciate you speaking on behalf of all of us to that end. CAO Snell.
Thank you, Council. I'd just like to officially and formally welcome Deputy CAO Sandy Little to North Perth. This is Sandy's second week, so we're giving her lots of information about North Perth and certainly have enjoyed her joining our team. So just welcome, Sandy.
Indeed, very exciting. I can certainly add that I was part of the process of selection for Sandy, and outstanding candidate. We're delighted to have her services here, and certainly we're going to put you to work. That's for sure. She's already been experiencing our hospitality, which includes hard work. So welcome, Sandy, certainly to our team. Anyone else with announcements? I will echo Councillor Blazek's announcement tomorrow night. Important evening in the life of the community every year, the Celebrate North Perth Awards program and volunteer celebration. And so those who are coming are going to have a wonderful night. And if you haven't signed up yet, colleagues, there's still, I think, a little bit of leeway, room for you to come if you want to come. We sort of plan a little over on the food side, so make sure you're there. All right, that turns us to item 15 on our agenda. We do not have a closed session of council planned for this evening, and that means that we can also skip through item 16 on our agenda. There's nothing to report because we did not have a closed session meeting of council. That means that Councillor Johnston gets his steps in again. Yep. So we're turning to item 17. Council, as a mandated good practice, acts near the end of its meeting agenda to confirm all of the actions and business of its meeting through what's called the confirmatory bylaw. I'll read this enabling resolution for that bylaw now. The bylaw 46-2025 being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth is hereby passed. Moved by, thank you, Councillor Rothwell, and seconded by Councillor Richardson. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Let's get Councillor Johnston back in here for the grand finale. Deputy Mayor Kellum's counting out his steps. That's amazing. That's support, man. That's support. All right, colleagues, we have certainly completed the deliberation and taken action on the business that's come before us tonight. I have to point out the last county council meeting was 23 minutes, and so we did not beat that record. But Deputy Mayor Callum, as warden, is running a tight and efficient meeting. I think he's helped a bit by staff with regards to not overloading the agenda. But 23 minutes, that's our new aspiration, I think. So let's consider a resolution for adjournment. As follows, the council meeting adjourns at 8:08 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, May 12th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Moved by Councillor Nordham. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Anstead. Not debatable. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. I'm sure our hockey fans around the table are excited that we can call this meeting adjourned. We will see you in a few weeks' time.